You come see me on tour in Rutherford, New Jersey, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ontario, California, Las Vegas, Davenport, Iowa, Chicago, Illinois. We're doing a live panel video show, special surprise guests on that show, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to Jimmy Dore because they don't want to buy it from a second reseller.
I'm debating Chris Cuomo the day after tomorrow, and it's I know you did that phenomenal takedown of him on his on Patrick Bet-David show, and you were responding to it. But isn't it something where you hear him come around and he's like, guys, get this. In 2024, he's going, guys, ivermectin is given to people. It's not just animals. Are you guys aware of this? Have you guys heard about this? And we're like, dude, yes, that's what this took a 5-minute Google search. We've all been talking about this for 2 years now while you were shaming all of us for saying it.
Something else that's
here, but you see his attitude. I'll tell you something else that's crazy.
So I want to play this.
You guys heard about this one?
I want to play this.
People get hurt by the facts.
I think my brother might be a jerk off.
I'll tell you something else that's going to get you a lot of hits. I am taking a what do they call it? Like a regular dose, whatever. They're trying to build up of ivermectin. Ivermectin was a boogeyman early on in COVID.
You couldn't talk about it.
That was wrong. We were given bad information about ivermectin. The real question is why? Everyone's going to say Joe Rogan was right. No, Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, he was right. But that's
my favorite part. That's my favorite part. The pause where he's like, people are going to say Joe Rogan was right. No. And then in his head, you can see he's like, think, Cuomo, think. Why was he wrong? Why was he wrong when I'm saying the same exact thing he was saying 2 years after mocking him for saying it?
Do you see
so
him
so listen to what he says here.
What matters is the entire clinical community knew that ivermectin couldn't hurt you. They knew it, Patrick. I know they knew it. How do I know? Because now I'm doing nothing but talking to these clinicians.
So what? I just wanted to play that for you. So I know you're going to do a great job, but I just wanted to point out that he just hoisted himself on his own petard. And so how did he do that there? Because he's admitting he didn't talk to anybody during COVID. He didn't interview one fucking doctor. He didn't call a clinician because he just admitted all the clinicians knew ivermectin was a harmless drug that had been prescribed billions of times. He knows it now. After he got fucking vaccine injured, he knows it now. But back then, he would gladly smear Joe Rogan and anybody else who was telling the truth about it. And like you just said, David, all it would take was a 30-second Google search of ivermectin, and he would know that it was a Nobel Prize-winning medicine on the WHO list of essential medicines that had saved billions of lives, and it was safe for them. And they were looking at it to cure cancer before COVID, and it's considered a wonder drug, second only to penicillin. He did none of that.
Yeah. Well, and look, I'm like, I don't want to go too hard, and I really want him to show up to this debate, but look, if you just think about it, how much there's no excuse. I mean, look, just pretend your job is news and someone comes to you and goes, okay, so there's this big push for a mandate for a pharmaceutical product. And then there's a therapy that's being pushed, a drug that's being pushed that could, help with the virus. And the whole world is coming down on this drug. But then you go, someone like Joe Rogan goes, my doctor prescribed me this. Wouldn't your first question would have to be, there's a doctor. Why is the doctor prescribing that? And then let me just Google it. Let me Google it once before I talk about it every single night. So if you're not just corrupt and lying, it's just such inexcusable dereliction of duty.
He's like Joey from Friends. He don't know shit about the news.
So that is exactly what has been revealed there, is that he's like, I'm not actually a news guy. I'm a news reader, just like they've said since forever about the news people.
Even the good ones were jerk-offs too, by the way. Don't think just because he seems like a real E-channel person.
And I will say that I scratched my head when Patrick Bet-David hired him for his show, but this is a great thing This is
it's cool with me now.
This is a what's that?
It's cool with me now.
Then
Now
you
that we get
invited
to
him
do
to
this
Value
debate.
Largo?
Yeah.
Will I be invited to Value Largo? Ask Patrick.
I'll try to get a +1 if I can.
And I just want to show you, and because I'm very excited, I tweeted to Patrick Bet David that I'm officially jealous of Dave Smith that gets to go and confront him. I would love to be able to do this, but you're going to do a great job. I know you will. But I just want to show you this too, just so you have this in your back pocket, because of what he just said. He says, now I'm talking to clinicians and all of them know that ivermectin was harmless and blah, blah, blah. So now but listen to what he says here.
Choose not to. Please don't berate me for doing that. It is a personal choice I have made. It's my own healthcare. I am allowed to do that. I'm entitled
so
to
he's talking about a guy who had COVID. This guy had COVID. He now has natural immunity, and he didn't want to take the vaccine. And Chris Cuomo's pushback is this.
Aaron, you're absolutely right to do it. You have a right to do it. Two different statements. Okay? Do you have the right? Of course, nobody's debating that except you guys as a false choice. What I'm saying is...
no, everybody was debating that, by the way, because there were mandates. The president of the United States had to have a court struck down. So everybody was saying you didn't have a choice, fuckface. That's why people who are used to be pro-choice don't call themselves pro-choice anymore. They call themselves pro-abortion, which nobody's pro-abortion. Anyway,
well, that's why he got sick, because he had no choice.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, right. And it's just so, it's so incredibly dishonest to even frame it that way. That look, man, first of all, there were tens of millions of Americans who were going to lose their job.
That's right.
Lose friends, lose all types of things. And that's just okay, you could say that was the company's decision or not the government's or something. And by the way, that's only true because the Supreme Court struck down Joe Biden's OSHA mandate where all midsize and big companies would have had to vaccinate their employees. But forget that. I personally was turned into a second-class citizen in my city. There were months where I was not allowed to go to a restaurant, or if I did, they'd have a special outside seating for me where I wasn't allowed to go to a Knicks game, or I wasn't allowed to go to movies or all this shit. In the city I grew up in, they literally instituted apartheid based on the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. So fuck him to turn around and go, oh, the debate about whether you have the right to do this isn't even really a debate.
Vax-apartheid?
Yeah. Literally, it's just bananas to say that.
So that's not even the point of me showing this, but I'm glad.
It's just one additional thing.
It's one additional thing. Here's another thing.
It right to do it. Have you spoken to a doctor? You're supposed to be a leader. Have you?
So he just admitted. So he's shaming this guy. Have you spoken to a doctor? You're supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to be a fucking newsman, Chris Cuomo.
I spoke to Don Lemon.
Have you talked to a doctor? You haven't talked. You just admitted on the previous clip that you didn't talk to anybody because if you had, all the clinicians knew that ivermectin was a harmless drug that was a human medicine, but you didn't. And so here he is telling this. So that's his classic projection. He's hating on this guy because he's projecting what he is onto that guy. He's a lazy liar who didn't talk to anybody, and now he's projecting that onto this guy who actually did talk to doctors. He actually did know about natural immunity, and that's still not the reason I'm telling you this, but let's play it.
Talk to the CDC and the people who are in Florida at the Department of Health about whether or not they think you made a good choice. Because if your answer is just then...
So he's saying, did you talk to the CDC? Chris, you're supposed to question the people at the CDC. Your jumping off point is supposed to be the government is lying because they're corporate captured, and now I have to find out where they're lying. So he's telling this guy, why aren't you doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Turns out that guy was doing that. Anyway, okay.
Well, I don't care what they say. This is me. I'm an American. That is being dumb as a proxy for being bold.
Please play this for him.
That's
Please make him watch
exactly
this.
what he's doing here. He's being dumb as a proxy for being bold, because if he was bold, he would question the government. He would question big pharma bought captured agencies. That would be being bold. And he would actually go talk to the doctor that he talked to. He would talk to Joe Rogan's doctor. He would have on Peter McCullough. He would have on Dr. Pierre Corey. He would have on, I forget his name. He would have on all those people. But he didn't. So he's, again, this is classic Jungian projection. He's projecting onto him the thing that he hates about himself, that he's being dumb as a proxy for bold, and he doesn't do any of his research.
Wait, can I just give him some credit, though? Because, okay, yes, that's true. But now he may have given up on being a vaccine Zionist, but he's still a Zionist. Let's give him that.
All right, hold on. And that's still not the reason why I'm playing this, but here we go.
And I don't think it's a good message, because remember, it's not just you protecting yourself.
Let me say this.
It's you protecting me and other people from you.
They're going to kill me, man.
So that, again, that logic was never logic. That is illogic, because if the vaccine works the way you said it did, then people can go out and get their vaccine. Why do they need someone? If I have my polio vaccine, I don't need someone else to go get it to protect me. I've got mine. So that's why that's
so bananas. The logic, it's so crazy that they were ever able to sell this at all to anyone, where he goes right away. It's like, hey, I got my vaccine. How come you won't get your vaccine? And he goes, the vaccine works. You're dumb if you don't get it. And I need you to get it so you protect me. The fact that anyone could have ever looked at that and not gone, quick question.
That's how you know the whole thing's fake. That's the thing that he's trying to dodge now when he goes, oh, it turns out clinicians.
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about Rogan. How about, have you noticed anything, Chris, after this ordeal, maybe, that the whole thing stinks? You can't trust any of them, and the experts that you looked at, like your Don Lemons and Sanjay Guptas, don't know shit?
Right, by the way, when he says that all the clinicians knew, didn't Dr. Sanjay Gupta work at CNN? Didn't you bump into him at the propaganda meeting? Didn't he tell you, hey, by the way, ivermectin? Because when he went on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan said, why is everybody lying about ivermectin? Sanjay Gupta goes, I don't know.
Because they probably should have done that.
Here we go. There's more of this.
That's why you get vaccinated, not just for yourself. Important distinction. Go ahead.
Actually, the way vaccines work are to protect yourself. A vaccine that basically gives you a special cocoon where you actually limit the worst harmful effects of the virus itself, or may not get it altogether, depending on your own personal physiology. So that's the way vaccines work. Now, to me personally, I did talk to a couple of doctors that I know about it. I told them I already had it, and I'm 42. What do you think? And they said, yeah, you're fine. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. They didn't come and say, no, you have to do it because of everybody else. Because if other people want to be protected, they have access to vaccines. Go get the vaccine. I would never tell anybody not to get vaccinated. I do totally support it if that's what somebody chooses to do.
Byron, I'm with you.
I don't know why this is hard. It's that simple.
Listen, I totally agree with you. It is very simple. I think you're making it hard, because you're seeing some kind of righteousness and a choice to do something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But again, that's your right. What I'm saying is something else. You're wrong about how vaccines work. You're only giving part of the prophylaxis, okay? The other aspect to why you take the vaccine is it also reduces, not completely, nothing is perfect, and certainly this vaccine is not, but it also reduces your ability to communicate the virus and make other people infected. That part matters too.
But they're vaccinated.
So now
not us resurfacing. We've had
so now they ask him, do you want to apologize? And watch what he says.
Tom and I are talking about the long vaccine and what that's doing. A lot of my friends are going through it. And
long COVID.
Not long vaccine, forgive me. Long COVID. A lot of friends are talking about it. We're 40, 50. You're sitting there saying, hey, what the hell is going on in my body? What's changed from that conversation with you and Byron to where you are today?
Well, a lot has changed, and a lot needs to change that hasn't. Here's what matters to me about the clip. Apology? Of course not.
Great job,
Byron Donalds.
Why? Listen to his rationale of why he's not going to apologize. It makes absolutely no sense. Watch this.
Comes on my show now. Okay. Why? Exchange of respect was never personal. I believe as a leader at that time, you had a duty to be thorough in what you were putting out there as opposed to just playing politics.
And turns out he was being thorough. He talked to doctors, and the guy who wasn't being thorough was Chris Cuomo. Go ahead, Dave. Comment.
Well, look, man, I mean, I don't want to give the whole thing away because I am going to be debating this guy soon. But look, I mean, it's just like that. What he said is exactly right. Yeah, it's your job to be thorough and not political. And like, okay, a couple quick things. Number one, you brought up the thing with Gupta when he had no argument over ivermectin. But the other really interesting thing on that episode, I actually thought was the most interesting, because this was when Gupta went on Rogan's show. It was during the vaccine passports, during that time when you couldn't go into restaurants and stuff like that. And so he goes to Gupta goes to Rogan and goes, "So are you going to get the vaccine?" And Joe goes, "No." And he goes, "Why not?" And he goes, "I just had COVID." And he goes, "I have natural immunity that's stronger than the vaccine." And he goes, "So why would I get the vaccine?" And Gupta had no answer. He had no answer. He just went, "Oh, well, yeah, you probably got."
No, he said, "I'm glad you're feeling better."
Yeah, he said, and just like totally copped out.
He did sales techniques. That's how. When I worked at Nobody Beats the Whiz, they taught us when a customer says no, what they mean is, "I need to know more." They actually taught us to assault people with sales. So that's what he did. He diverted the conversation,
right?
Because they don't want to acknowledge the point. Chris Cuomo's like stuck in this mode here.
That's right. But I'm saying, so it's your job to be thorough here, right? And as he's grilling this guy, he says he's had COVID. He goes, "I've had COVID before." And I asked my doctor, they said, "I don't need to get the vaccine." And I'm just making the point that if he's saying being thorough, like even your own TV doctor had no answer for that question. So where is the onus to be thorough and like know what you're talking about and not be political? Is it like it's crazy? It's obviously just played one side of this.
And of course, I don't have the video, but when he pretended to be in quarantine, he wasn't. And when he pretended to come out from the basement and he had it videoed and filmed it in front of his children, they all knew he was lying. And he just, and he didn't get fired for that because he was lying at the behest of the establishment. So it's a real, I'm glad in a sense that Patrick Bet-David has this liar on his show, but he is a liar from start to finish. And he's just a nonstop narcissistic lying sociopath. That's what Chris Cuomo is. And I'm glad he's now admitting some of the things, but he still won't admit the big things.
He doesn't want to break kayfabe. Just get him to admit, like, Chris, because he said mutual respect. He's a wrestler. I'm a wrestler. We're doing our wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm not going to break kayfabe because I'm a pro. You got to give him a break kayfabe. You're like, now will you admit wrestling's not real, or the thing that you did that you called journalism?
You come see me on tour in Rutherford, New Jersey, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ontario, California, Las Vegas, Davenport, Iowa, Chicago, Illinois. We're doing a live panel video show, special surprise guests on that show, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to Jimmy Dore because they don't want to buy it from a second reseller.